Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Macon-Bibb County Committee of the Whole meeting. Today is Tuesday, October the 11th, and the time is about 9:07. I'd like to welcome everyone here today, including all of our special guests that are here today, to watch a little bit about what our government does and how we operate. We are a little light today as far as commissioners are concerned because we have several members that are out of town on other government business, and they could not be here with us today. We have two commissioners, Commissioner Tillman and Commissioner Watkins, who are needed to make our quorum that are not here. But we're going to go ahead and begin anyway, and we're going to go ahead and start with the comprehensive community plan. We have some folks here to present that to us. We will not be taking any votes until we get a quorum, but we'll go ahead and begin the process while everyone is here. So this time I'll call the meeting to order, and we'll begin with the approval of the minutes from the September 13th, 2022 meeting. Can I get a motion to approve? Motion by Commissioner Bronson, second by Commissioner Wilder. Any discussion? Here, no discussion. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries. Commissioner Lucas, you had asked me earlier for a privilege. Yes, ma'am.
Like to move on our agenda. I'd like to ask that item 6B be placed ahead of 6A on the agenda, please.
Okay, we have that as a motion. We have a second. Got a second by Commissioner Wilder. Any discussion regarding that item? Commissioner Watkins?
Thank you. How you doing this morning?
Doing good.
And I know that's on that renaming of Anthony Road, but again, 6A is the boulevard that that was paid for by the folks, man. They've been working on this. And I just think at some point we owe them a vote, yes or no, on what they requested, put it in the paper. So again, that's what they requested from us initially. Whether or not the body is going in a different direction, I think we owe them a decision on the first selection, being that's what they paid for. To ignore it, I think we should have to get into whether or not they get refunds and stuff like that if we're just gonna totally push it aside. So,
Yeah, I don't think anybody's asked to take it off the agenda. I think it's just to call the vote before the other vote. Okay. Commissioner Lucas, you need to respond to that, or you want?
Well, you've responded to it. I just wanted to say there's absolutely nothing negative as far as this is concerned. This is just two different ways of handling an issue of designating that street, and I think it's how we do it. I think that's the difference. And so that was why I was asking if the legislation that I have on the agenda is, if the first one is passed, then it makes the other one of no consequence, moot. And so I just wanted to deal with that first, but there's nothing negative about this at all. Either way, there is a tribute paid. It's just how we do it.
Okay. We do have a motion and second. This is only to move the agenda for the move item 6B ahead of 6A. So we have a motion and second. All those in favor of making that change to the agenda, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries, and we'll move 6B first. We're going to move on to the comprehensive community plan. We have a couple of folks here to speak on that today, and I believe they want us to do a vote as well if all the necessary information. So, Mr. Brown, who you've got today with you?
Hello, good morning, Mayor and Commissioners. Gregory Brown with Macon-Bibb County Planning and Zoning Commission, and Mike Greenwald as well with the Macon-Bibb Planning and Zoning Commission. We're just going to provide an update on where we are with the comprehensive plan in terms of getting it approved. So there may not be a vote today, but we definitely want to just provide you all with an update on where we are with it.
Okay. So my understanding is you're going to provide information, and if the commissioners decide that they want to go ahead and vote on this today, that would be okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for the time. I'm just going to jump straight to the conclusion. While we are going to try and do everything we can to keep this item on the agenda for you for the 24th, the likelihood is we may need to push it back a week till November 1st. The reason being that we are still addressing comments that we received from DCA, specifically with regards to identifying those items that have been completed in our community work program since 2017. The reason it's taking longer to address those items is because the staff person who normally handled that task retired in mid-August. So we're basically playing catch-up, trying to get the last of those items identified. We anticipate having the last of those comments addressed in short order, but then it has to go back to DCA and Middle Georgia Regional Commission for approval of what we have submitted in response to comments. The upshot being that we may not make the deadline of the October 24th. We have received secondhand confirmation from DCA that if we have it approved on November 1st, it won't be too much of a problem. But we did feel that it was important to bring it to your attention that there might be a delay in the approval process.
I guess I'll defer to the commissioners on what's your pleasure, whether you want to go ahead and vote on this or whether you want to return back at a later date. Commissioner Lucas?
Sir, I would certainly like to go ahead. We don't need to interrupt that process because there's some things that this allows us as a community to get. So could you I'd like to go ahead and vote on it.
Okay.
And then if there's additional information that we need to get, we can get that. But there's a lot of extensive work that's been done on this. So could you go through briefly the process that you've already gone through, if that will help to reassure anybody that we need to go ahead and approve it, so you can go ahead with what you need to do?
Yes, ma'am. The process so far is that over the course of 2021 and most of 2022, we were developing the plan. We had gone out, provided outreach at a variety of different...
Use the microphone.
Oh, I apologize. I didn't mean to. I apologize. Over the course of 2021, late 2021, early 2022, we had been doing a variety of outreach efforts at different venues throughout Macon-Bibb, soliciting community input. We developed a draft that was finalized on August 5th, sent out for final public comment. Provided the initial series of hearings was held in, the kickoff meeting was held, I believe, in May, thank you. In May, we did a second public hearing of the initial draft on August 11th. Took comments through August 15th, final set of comments. The final draft was sent to the Middle Georgia Regional Commission, who by state procedures then forwarded it on to Department of Community Affairs for their review, so that Middle Georgia Regional Commission and DCA could review simultaneously. That review process ran from August 18th through September 26th. We received comments from DCA. I believe it was starting September 15th. We went in, provided an initial round of responses to their comments. They said it wasn't specifically detailed enough. So we have been going back and responding to those details. We got that second round, came back early October. The exact date escapes me. The initial plan had been to bring the finalized document that had been approved by DCA and Middle Georgia Regional Commission. The intent was to bring that finalized plan before this commission today. The additional round of comments that that DCA has requested of us, we're getting them addressed now. I anticipate having those finished, if not today, then certainly by the end of the week. But the open question, the open variable is how fast will DCA respond to those comments, and will they find them acceptable? That's what's leading to the potential delay till the meeting on November 1st. I do believe, I understand Commissioner Lucas's concern that this might have some impact on our what's called our QLG, qualified local government status. If we get it approved by November 1st, I think DCA is going to treat that as, no harm, no foul.
Okay. Any additional questions? Thank you, Ms. Lucas. Commissioner Jones?
Yes, sir. Mike, I'm not sure I really understand. Is it half-baked? Or I don't know what the comments were. I don't know what the recommendations, what the comments were. So I don't feel adequately versed to know, yes, let's go ahead and prove it. Are they things of substance? I don't know what the comments were. So I'm kind of at a loss to.
The specific nature of the comments were that we had not specifically identified those items that we laid out in our community work program from the last time we did this back in 2017. We identified tasks that were ongoing.
Right.
DCA said we hadn't identified which projects had been completed. The vast majority of them have been completed. Few of them got delayed or removed by organizations other than county, so we have to acknowledge that in our list. We've almost finished that list, and once we get that get those comments addressed, the process is we send it back to Regional Commission and Department of Community Affairs so that they can approve what we've described to them in terms of the status of the projects. That, as I understand it right now, is the only remaining comment that Department of Community Affairs has on the draft plan. Once they sign off on it, and Middle Georgia Regional Commission signs off on it, then we can bring it before the commission.
So there was a punch list, but we don't really know what the punch list says. Perhaps you and Mr. Brown do, but I don't know what the punch list is. Is there somebody here from the Middle Georgia Regional Commission that can tell us these are just little minor things, just a matter of process? Or
The short answer, I'm going to answer your question, sir. It is very much punch list, minor discussion of process. The items that were covered in Chapter 10 of the current comprehensive plan, list of projects that we were working on, we identified them starting from 2017 through 2022. Department of Community Affairs wants us to specifically state what's the status of each of those projects. The vast majority of them are completed. There are one or two that got canceled, delayed. Some of them are ongoing. They just want us to punch list and give them an update on the status of those projects.
and if we don't approve it today, does this hold up anything of any substance in what you want to accomplish? Does it hold anything up, or?
Short answer, no, sir. What it will allow us to do is address the comments, get Georgia Department of Community Affairs blessing on the final comments, and bring you a full and completed item for adoption, albeit a week later than originally intended.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones, based on your questions, are you still inclined to go ahead and vote for this today or not?
I'd rather wait, based on Mike's comments.
Okay. I didn't hear a second anyway, and I think based on Commissioner Lucas's previous comments, I think we'll defer this to the first, November the 1st.
Yeah, if I
that
understand
was-
correctly, sir,
Yes.
just to make sure that I'm clear, November 1st is a full commission meeting, not another not another committee of the whole meeting, correct?
We'll have a double meeting that day, so it'll be finalized that day. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a pre-commission, it'll come up for that first time, and it'll come up again that consecutive meeting that day. And I'm saying the first, I assume the first Tuesday of the month, whatever that is for November. Sure.
Quick procedural question. The ordinance that the commission is being asked to consider reads, that the Macon-Bibb County Commission approves the update to the Macon-Bibb County Comprehensive Plan as found online, and then it goes through that
et cetera.
as
Yes.
required by the Community Affairs. Based on what you're saying, that's going to be tweaked a little bit. Is that right?
It's going to need to be, yes.
Okay. Will that be finalized by the time we have this next vote?
I would anticipate so, yes.
Okay. It's not going to be substantially different. Okay.
Correct.
That's fine. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll remove this item from the agenda today, and we'll place it back on for our meeting on November I believe it's the 1st. And that meeting will be a pre-commission and a meeting, so we can finalize it that day one way or the other.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you.
Going to move on to items 3. But before I do that, Commissioners, we had a item that was sent to you, it should have been on yesterday, to each of you, that we wanted to add to the agenda that's somewhat of time sensitive and involving a GDOT project. And we'll have the attorney give you a physical copy of that, but you should have received it perhaps by email yesterday. And this item's dealing with a project on an ordinance to amend the Macon-Bibb County Commission to authorize the appropriation of up to $730,000 from general fund balance to sponsor programs to be used for construction sidewalks along the north side of Eisenhower Parkway in conjunction with the Georgia Department of GDOT diet and renewal of Eisenhower Parkway from I-75 interchange to the intersections with Canterbury Road, Key Street, and for all other lawful purposes. We wanted to add that to the agenda today. It would be our portion of a smaller match of several $1 million that the state would be doing. But without discussing that, I just want to see if it's, we could consider adding that to the agenda today to discuss and vote on it today. We got a motion by Commissioner Jones. We have a second. Second by Commissioner Wilder. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of adding that to the agenda, please say aye. Opposed, nay. We'll add that to the agenda at the end, which will be 8A. Going to move back to 3, appointments, reappointments, authorities, boards, and committees. We have several of those today. We have a resolution on A to appoint 15 people as identified herein to serve as the members of the Macon-Bibb County Age-Friendly Communities Advisory Council. I'll read those names just a second. And I know several of those are here today. So the recommendation for Dr. Henry Ficklin, Troy Kennedy, Robert Walker, Simona Vickers, Aisha Ellen, Gloria Cisse, David Bick, Laura Mathis, and Jimmy Smith Jr. If you're here, please stand up. Those are new members. And we have several: Gregory Brown, Karen Middleton, Tanya McClure, Frank Tompkins, and Jennifer Lartenizer for renewals. Thank you each for being here today. I want to make sure commissioners get a chance to see who you are. And at this time, we'd entertain a motion for approval for the Age-Friendly Communities Advisory Council. Motion by Commissioner Lucas, second by Commissioner Bronson. Any further discussion? Commissioner Lucas?
Yes, I just want to, first of all, say that Macon, I believe, was the first community to be designated as age-friendly. Am I right?
That's right.
Some years ago, and when you're around a long time, you remember when stuff when stuff like this happened. And former city council member Frank Tompkins introduced the legislation to the previous city council to designate, to have Macon designated as age-friendly. And Myrtle Habersham has been a part of it all that time and has kept everything intact. And we're recognized all over the country for being designated as an age-friendly community. And I just personally want to thank all of you, because I think I know everybody and know your history of involvement with the age, not only the age-friendly community, but a lot of other things that are positive for Macon-Bibb County. So I just wholeheartedly endorse continuing this age-friendly initiative.
Thank you, Commissioner Lucas. And we'll be celebrating our 10-year anniversary, I believe, on October the 22nd. So we do have a motion and second, and if there's no further discussion, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you. That carries unanimously, and will be sent on the consent agenda. Thank you for being here today. Going to move on to item B, which is a resolution appointing several members to the Macon-Bibb Beautiful, as including Helen Weathers, Kristen Grissom, Dr. Lori Rogers, Moses Velez, Lori Ficklin, and Jill Peavy to the Keep Macon-Bibb Beautiful Board. That's my motion. Can I get a second? Second by Commissioner Bronson, who's also going to be a co-sponsor of that. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. I think some of them are here today. If you're here today, please stand up as well. I see the ladies in front. Thank you all for agreeing to be here today and to serve on that worthy board. And we'll have that on our consent agenda for finalization on next Tuesday night's meeting. You don't have to be here for that. You can watch it online if you want to. Feel free if you want to come. You can certainly come and be with us. Item 4A is a resolution authorizing the mayor to approve the right-of-way spraying contract with Naturum, I guess that's how you say that, in the amount of $145,000 to be paid from the Parts and Beautification budget. I saw our director here earlier, Mr. Grissom. I know he's trying to hide so he don't have to talk, but go ahead and come forward, sir. This is a renewal of a contract that we had last year, is that correct?
Well, yes, sir. I kind of amended the original contract to include some sidewalk spraying.
Okay.
Just because I noticed kind of around town, a lot of our sidewalks are getting a little impassable, crack weeds and things. So that's why you see that little bit of a price difference.
Okay. Just tell us a little bit about the project. I know Commissioner Watkins had some questions last time, but just tell us a little bit whether or not it's been successful and what actually happens on this spraying project.
Well, yes, sir. As you can see, I sent all this stuff over, but in the scope of work, like I said, with the sidewalks, it's basically a non-selective herbicide that's being sprayed. It'll just kill anything that it touches in the sidewalks, the concrete, to kind of clean up the sidewalks, make them more passable. But the roadsides themselves are being used as a growth regulator. It'll kind of slow down growth to where we can kind of stay ahead of mowing, is essentially all it is. And you do catch that little bit of a period where you see some brown out and people think that it's dead, but it's just a temporary, stunt kind of period, and they'll come back.
Okay. Commissioner Watkins, you have questions?
Yes. The stunt period, I guess, is where I would take my issue. It seemed as though it never ended. Like there are sections of town that I've watched over the last couple of years where we have sprayed it, it died, we never cut it, we never came back and scraped it or cleaned it up. It was able to regain life. We sprayed it again, and it's just stays browned out. And my concern is we never actually cut the grass or maintain the right of way in several sections of town. Like, we don't touch it once a year. And we've talked about this like for multiple years, and it never gets better. And now and for the last couple years, we've just been putting herbicide on it, thinking that solved the crack. I don't like it. It makes stuff look horrible. Like, why would somebody, like the weeds that have grown up through the ground are saplings now, like they're more than 6 inches tall, and then somebody just comes and sprays it. Like, in some places, grass is growing on the interstate. Somebody has to cut it and pick it up, and I never hear when that part occurs.
Right. And part of this new contract is, and it's all in the scope of work, that Nature Chem stays in touch, gives us weekly reports. And when I say us, mainly me and Public Works. Public Works actually carries more of this burden than me as far as the right-of-way mowing. But they give us weekly updates on our service reports showing where they've sprayed. And then we would come behind them after the spray, after everything's died for about a week, and then we would mow. Because, I mean, again, we noticed some of that too. Like you mentioned, that some areas were being sprayed but not mowed. And a lot of that was just miscommunication between Public Works and Nature Chem on that previous contract. But I think we're going to iron that out this time.
Respectfully, I don't believe it's just a misoversight of a week or two. Like,
right.
Like Montpelier, Columbus Road, like we're not touching that. Like, the sections of Pleasant Hill, we barely are covering like the main thoroughfares. And I think I asked last week, where is the overall comprehensive plan of what it takes and what we do to make a city actually be beautiful? Like, and I feel like I'm speaking by myself here. Is other folks experiencing the city something that's beautiful and majestic? Because I'm not experiencing that when I drive through. So I'll yield because I'm probably just the only one. But
Well, yeah, and I mean, like I said, I can't speak for Tim Wilder. I know a lot of his crews, they struggle with manpower, and I mean, I'm sure everybody's heard that same story, manpower and equipment issues and so on. But a lot of the problems too is that with some of this mowing, we have the ability to put tractors out there on big county-wide, rural areas and things, but some of these small areas where you have to put zero-turn mowers and have guys with weed eaters and stuff, they just get behind. It's just the end-all be-all just story to it. And I mean, like I said, I hate to speak for Tim Wilder and assume his problems, but I know that's some of the problems that we deal with, even with the very small number of right-of-ways that we try to maintain within parks and beautification.
So who's responsible? And I get confused, and it seems a little confused. Who's responsible for maintaining the right-of-ways of Macon-Bibb County by and large?
Well, the kind of the off-paper agreement with Marvin Land and Sam Kitchens, which was, Tim Wilder and my predecessor, was that Parks and Beautification would handle everything south of I-75, including downtown, and then everything north of 75 would be Public Works. But on paper, Public Works is supposed to maintain the majority of our right-of-ways, while Parks and Beautification handles downtown thoroughfares.
So, in your opinion, what's better, north or south?
Well, and I mean, again, I wouldn't feel comfortable having this conversation without Tim being present, but I mean, if we're being honest, Tim has about twice the number of employees that I do. So, I mean, it would make sense that they would carry more of the load.
At some point, I would love to figure this out. This probably isn't the time, but it's the only time that we really get to delve a little bit deeper in this. But I yield for the moment. I'm voting no, but
Well, if you're gonna vote no, we know it won't pass today, so, we'll go ahead and move on to Commissioner Jones.
Yes, sir. Just want to say I don't disagree with what Commissioner Watkins is saying. I see it, and as I drive all over Bibb County, I report a lot of things: potholes, right-of-ways. I can tell you this: Tim Wilder is exceptionally responsive. So if you call him or email him, he will get it done, and usually in a day or two. So, for what it's worth.
Commissioner Bronson?
Hey, just out of curiosity, in regards, and I kind of share the sentiments here on this end. I cover down Houston Avenue, MLK Boulevard, and so forth. And first and foremost, you guys are doing a great job with the resource that we have, right? Let's identify that piece. So thank you for that. In this new contract, is there any area, say for instance, for the local and small businesses that are in the area, right, the law and competence and so forth, to kind of tag team into that deal? I've asked this one time before, right, and I'm just kind of trying to see if that's an option that we can probably get these guys to come and handle those small things that we can't really get to like we need to.
Well, to answer your question, as far as this contract, no, we don't have anything like that in here.
Okay.
But again, this was in response to, a year or so ago when we had asked a mowing contractor to come in, and we gave them the list of roads.
Roger.
And the mowing was millions of dollars that we couldn't afford. So the only response that I knew at the time was to attempt to do some type of herbicide treatments to slow down this growth, which herbicide's $145,000 as opposed to a couple million. So that was the only approach we knew given the budget we had.
So I guess just in relation to what Commissioner Watkins was saying, so once we spray it, is there a thing where we can probably get somebody to come back through and scrape that through that may be a local?
Yes, sir. And like I said, that was, and I'll admit that was probably a lack of communication between Nature Chem and us in that original contract, because last year was the first time we had done this.
Yes, sir.
And it was kind of a learning curve for Tim Wilder and myself. But in this contract, like I said, Nature Chem is going to give us weekly reports on what they've sprayed, and then that way our public works crews can be a week behind. That way we're giving them a week to let whatever they sprayed die off, and then public works can mow directly behind it. So you won't see that period of browned out ugliness.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner Bronson. Commissioner Lucas?
Yeah, some of my questions have been answered, but I wanted to ask about your scheduling. I know you have to have a static schedule of things that are covered, and you've got that. You do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all the time. But how do you handle, what are those areas that get the attention on your list? And then how do you deal with all of the others? I guess I'm trying to get information as to how the whole thing operates and how we continue to end up. And I too share the fact that y'all accomplish an awful lot with us. You know, your workforce is not huge, and maybe that's something else that needs to be looked at. I know the administration has looked at it. I believe y'all have had some additional employees. Ed, didn't you get some additional folks?
We hired some part-time labor.
Oh, we have
Each of these, we funded completely enough people to run all these departments. With the grass cuttings that we have now, it's just, you don't always have a full staff because people are not working.
Okay, so what needs to happen now, I guess, is tweaking the process
Yes, ma'am.
that's being used. So what areas are routinely handled?
Well, and again, as far as roadsides, you know, and I hate to keep saying this, but I mean, Tim Wilder and his crews handle most of that. I think part of the reason why I was bought into this is because I have that pesticide applicator license, and you know, Tim just felt a little better with me handling some of the chemical processes with this. But you know, parks and beautification, we handle mostly parks, tree work, some of the downtown right-of-ways and things like that. So I hate to speak for Tim and assume what his schedules are, but I'm sure he could get that to you.
Are y'all doing the cemeteries
Yes, ma'am.
too?
Yes, ma'am.
How many, which ones are y'all
Well, I mean, we're overseeing that through a contractor, but yes, ma'am. But,
All the
we're doing-
cemeteries are done by private contractors that
Right.
approved by the commission.
Oh, okay. All right. So at some point, I'd like to, I know that we don't have enough time today to go through all of that, but I'd like to be brought up to speed as to what the process is and where we need to request additional things. Because I may be turning in a request that's not something that you can carry out. So I'd like to at some time kind of look back at the process. And we just don't ever want people to say that because of where you live, your area is treated better, you get more service and all of that. I tell people all the time, you need to be calling all the time, like some of these other folks. The squeaky wheel indeed does get the
grease.
oil. Is it oil? Carolyn Creighton calls all the time on everything, and she gets the oil. But I just don't want that to continue out in the community where there are people who feel like that they're not getting their money's worth and they're paying taxes too. And I know you don't want that either. So if there's a way that we can alleviate that, or I can get the information I need, then I'd appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lucas. I can assure you that it has nothing to do with where you live at or your zip code. We do have multiple things to juggle, including state roads. Roads that are not controlled, like Columbus Road, like Mercer University, like Eisenhower Parkway. For instance, I live in Lizella, and someone other than Bibb County cuts the grass out in Lizella because that is indeed a state road. We can't control the time, place, and manner of that. I think Dr. Moffitt may include in his county manager's report information about grass cutting. Perhaps if you look at that county manager's report, you should have that detailed information on a monthly basis on where they cut and how many cuts they're doing. This attempt here, and if it fails, that's fine. It's only going to make things worse if it doesn't pass, because this is slowing down the process to allow our cutters to get back up there. The cemeteries are done by private companies, both small minority businesses as well as other companies for the larger projects. They have been doing a better job, even though we still have some challenges, so we're still looking at some needs on that. We put over $1 million in the last year's budget to make this effort a lot better. We've hired a new director at Keep Macon-Bibb Beautiful, who's doing a wonderful job, and the board is having numerous cleanups and putting those on top of the situation. As a community, at some point in time, you have to decide. If you're going to be the masters, you're going to pay masters dollars. And I say masters, I'm talking about the golf course that's in Augusta. But if you're willing to pay an extra $1 or $2 on your taxes to look like the masters, then therefore, I'm not asking for anything like that. We're doing the best with what we got in today's environment. I think our community is looking a lot better in the last couple of years, And I don't say that because I've been here. I've seen it because I've seen good, hard people working every single weekend, doing their job. Our Parks and Beautification and our Public Works go above and beyond to take care of any needs. And if you ever have any issues in your districts, if you pick up the phone and talk to the county manager and he passes through the proper channels, you'll find they'll get right on it. Because we do have a large county, square miles wise, and it takes a lot to do, particularly in this environment where we're constantly having issues with getting our equipment maintained in a timely manner. And that's why we've tried to hire private contractors, but unfortunately the private contractors are few and far between now, and they don't even want to do contracts with the county because they can make a lot more money doing private business. But I know we're having a whole philosophical debate today on the how much we put into grass cutting. We know it's an issue everywhere, but if you're going to add money to it, then you're going to have to take money from somewhere else. So you decide where you want to take money from if you're going to add that to that. But it sounds like we don't have a second here, motion and a second on this today. And if Commissioner Watkins is saying he's not voting for it, there's no sense even taking a vote today. We only have 5 members. So, Commissioner Watkins?
I was curious, like you mentioned the $1 million increase. How has that been implemented across the department?
Well, for projects like roadside mowing in District 8, we're paying some of our minority contractors through our Office of Small Business to mow some of our Montpelier included. Some of our roadside mowing's being done through there. Our cemetery work is being paid out of there. I know last year the Interstate Beautification Project was paid out of that. Kind of just various beautification projects. I mean, I wouldn't say that money was put into a pot just specifically for specific projects, but as we see them, we draw that money out of that pot of money.
I guess mainly with outside contractors, we didn't hire any additional staff or buy any new equipment with it?
No, sir, not to my knowledge. I mean, we are buying new mowers as needed and things like that, but not out of that $1 million that Mayor Miller mentioned.
How much has been spent on the minority contractors in District 8?
I just signed off this morning on $36,000 for one mowing in District 8. And we'll probably do that again one more time before the end of the year.
So,
and that's litter removal too. So.
Out of 36, okay.
And we're going to do that 5 to 6 times in a year. So I mean, that comes up to roughly, pushing $200,000. So
I guess 36 covers one track around the entire district.
That's right. Yes, sir. For mowing roadside, and I can't remember the exact mileage, but for it was at District 8 last year. The District 8 roadside mowing that was passed, it came out to be about $260,000 that was approved out of that to be paid.
And I guess from last year, you say there were 5 cuts accomplished with that.
Well, no, because we had problems getting contractors lined up. I think we were able to get about 3 in last year, and we've gotten another 2 or 3 in this year, and I think we'll try to get 1 more in before the end of this year. Right. But again, as a frame of reference, I know Mayor mentioned some of the state-controlled highways that are mowed by GDOT. GDOT mows state right-of-ways twice a year and interstates 4 times a year. So I mean, for us as Macon-Bibb County to hit some of these side roads twice a year, I mean, sometimes we do that, sometimes we don't, I'll admit, but I mean, we're kind of keeping pace with GDOT, if that gives you some type of frame of reference.
The mayor mentioned earlier the idea of having a city that was master levels clean. We do 1 to 2 times per year on most areas. What would you consider master's levels to be? And you mentioned District 8 might be getting 2 or 3, 2 to 6. Right. What would it take to accomplish master level?
I mean, it'd be hard to say. I mean, I would think, 1 mowing a month would be, I wouldn't say it'd be master's level. I mean, masters you'd be talking about once every 2 weeks. And I mean, that's a lot of money. And again, that's kind of where this spraying contract kind of came from, because the original mowing price was millions of dollars. And, we just don't have that.
So I guess talk to me a little bit about that. Like, I would imagine when you say millions, you're speaking of 5 million-ish.
I can't remember the exact number, but we had the guy come down from
that one contract was not masters, would be almost $5 million. You're looking at about $8 million.
Okay. Even at $8 million,
that's 2 mills.
I mean, but when we talk about like what we do as a service delivery, having a clean city is like top 3 in the things that we say we're gonna do: safe, clean, keep the fire away, and pick up trash.
Yes, sir.
I guess I guess maybe it's just me on that, and that's why it's a lot of money, because it doesn't sound like a lot of money for what we're supposed to be doing. To me, I want us to start doing it, but I guess the rest of the body is like, this is extremely too much, and we don't want to discuss it much more.
Well, we're talking about just the Kim contract today. This is not the entire, that would have been the budgetary conversation that we had, but I can tell you that it'd be nice to have $8, $12, $15 million, but you're not going to raise the taxes on 2 meals and 3 meals on folks just to cut grass when they already have services that's being provided in other areas. Certainly, I don't think the voters, they'd all want to have a master situation outside, but sometimes you don't have the funds to pay for that, particularly in the high inflation that we have right now. So I think that we're doing a great job managing what we're doing. We did that contract that you asked for to be put out over a year and a half ago, came back extremely high for cutting grass. We looked at doing it in-house, and by the time you had all the equipment, the maintenance, and the staffing you're going to have there, you're looking at the same amount, so it didn't save any money. Regarding the other monies that we have, the CIP would be before you, I think, in a couple of weeks with some new equipment and things that for our staff that they put in for that we'll cover during that time. We do the budgetary for the other things, not the capital improvement stuff. So that'll come back before you with additional money, just like we spent last year on those funds. Commissioner Jones, I see your hand.
Yes, sir, no pun intended, but we're in the weeds. I think we need to pass this legislation. It may not be all we want, but I'm calling for the vote.
Okay. We had a motion to call a vote. We have a second. Got a second. All those in favor of calling the vote, please say aye. Opposed, nay. Okay, we'll call the vote. First we need a motion. Can we get a motion by Commissioner Jones on the actual item? Okay, got a motion to approve. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Wilder. Any further discussion? I'm sorry, no further discussion. I'm sorry. We have a motion and second. All those in favor of item 4A on $145,000 to be paid from Parks and Beautification budget, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion fails. Okay, we're going to move on to item 4B. Item 4B is authorize a mayor to execute a professional services agreement with Donaldson, Garrett, and Associates in the amount of $50,120 to provide for surveying services to be paid from engineering budget, professional services, other line items. That's my motion. Can I get a second? Second by Commissioner Jones. I'll have our attorney give you brief information. We'll pause for a moment to let everyone that needs to leave. Okay.
The bunker is incredibly cool. So. All right. Good morning, Commissioners. Mayor Miller, this is a contract for surveying services for our engineering, to help out our engineering department. Excuse me. In Old City Blocks 59, 75, and 76. Last week, or at our last meeting, we discussed that some property owners think they own their parking lots and they're enforcing that they own their parking lots, but those are actually old right-of-ways. So the intent here is just to see where we should be putting our right-of-ways back forth, how much of those parking lots are owned by the individuals versus the county, and then see if maybe those property owners want to purchase their parking lots, that extra space, get that property back on the tax rolls.
Thank you, Ms. Beavers. Commissioners, you remember last week we had a purchase and sale of property downtown that we sold for about $143,000 on some property that actually was owned by the county. What we're doing is we're shoring up a lot of the properties we have, in particular downtown, with hiring these surveyors to go out there and do all the work with the intention to get fair market value for each of those properties as well, so we can basically square those zones off and allow the current owner to purchase those properties if they wish to. Certainly, the one sale we had already will justify this $50,000 that we have here, and we anticipate millions of dollars going back onto the tax digest after the completion of this project, and allow for better building downtown as well as more feasible parking. So this time I entertain a motion for approval. I do, I'm sorry. I got a motion and a second already? Good Lord. We have a motion and a second. This time I'll take any questions. Commissioner Lucas, you have a question? No, you're just looking at me like that? Okay. No questions. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Next item is local maintenance and improvement grant. This is going to be an informational item only today. We spoke last week about the LMIG, and since we have 3 commissioners or 4 commissioners that are not here today, we prefer just to give you this as information. We're within our time restraints. Our LMIG each year, if you remember, is a project that we've been fine-tuning. We have set aside some money in our SPLOST, approximately $700,000 each time to match the money for a total amount over $2 million for our roads program. The last time we met, we came to a consensus on the roads that we would do for this next LMIG, but we also looked at all the roads that were what we call 4s and 5s out of the rankings, 1 being the best road, 5 being the worst roads. We came up with a figure for all those roads and discussed how we would be taking care of those roads with the funds that we have. The general consensus of the commission at that time is we were going to look at putting forth about 5 times as much money for those roads. The $700,000 was the amount we typically put in there. We would do an LMIG like we generally do for over $2 million, $2.5 million, I think it would be. And then after that LMIG was taken care of, we will look at the 4s and 5s and pave another additional mode for about $2.5 million directly out of our general funds. So we're basically doubling up the amount of roads that we were doing, but spending 5 times as much money throughout the years. Those roads will be determined based on what commissioners decide after looking at the 4s and 5s based on a recommendation. These are not people calling in. These are looking at the data-driven process throughout the whole community. So what we're going to be asking for is to approve this LMIG at some point in time, and then we will come back before the commission with all the roads that we've been talking about. I can tell you that the price to go from intersection to the issue on those 4s and 5s appear to be around $14 million, anywhere from $13 to $15 million. The plan that we have proposed to increase the amount of money we're spending will take care of all these 4s and 5s over the 3-year plan in time for the SPLOST to end and possibly begin a new SPLOST to take care of any additional needs. But that will basically put 5 times as much money into roads than the previous way we've been doing things. So, County Manager Moffitt, if you want to add anything to that today, sir.
You summed it up pretty good.
Commissioner Watkins.
Today, the 2.1 million, how many miles of roads does that cover?
In your package, I'm sorry, I should have had that document pulled up. If you recall, we agreed for the LMIG to cover 2 main roads, which was Joe Tamplin, Economic Development, and Presidential Parkway. So we made sure we included that amount, and from there, we added roads from the 5 list to start from the 5 and work our way down to get the amount of 9.5, about 9.6 miles.
In total, there are 38 miles to cover, and this covers 9.6?
Yes.
Okay.
So if you recall, this year's LMIG, you already approved, we've applied, we got it out for bid, so that's 22. The list that in front of you is the 23, which is about almost 10 miles. And then I'm gonna come back at the end of November and present you with another list of about 2.8 million
That's
of
correct.
general fund that will cover the rest of the 5s and the 4s. What I'm having GIS do is, remember, just because a road is rated a 5, you may have a section in there that's a 5, but you still have to go from intersection to intersection. So that's taking a little time, but we have the preliminary list of what that looks like, and that should cover another, I think 12 miles, because they're smaller roads, and so we'll be able to show you that list And so that'll be 3 groupings of roads that should get about 15 to 20 miles out of that 34 that we originally identified. And so next year, we would do LMIG and another list from general fund. And as the mayor said, within 3 years, hopefully we have all those 34 miles covered.
Okay, and so the list that we're passing today, those roads will be completed.
They'll be put out for bid. Once GDOT's approved the LMIG, this list that you have in front of you will be put out for bid. And I believe GDOT, I'm trying to get Charles to apply early. But I believe it's probably be approved in February or March, and then we will bid that out. So that'll be worked on next year.
And the list that we approve in November,
Same time.
Same time.
February, March.
Any other questions, Mr. Waters? You good?
Yes.
Mr. Water?
Yeah, I have had lots of calls about roads in District 6. I just want to thank everyone for us bringing this forward lately, because some people don't hear it, and if we don't speak it, they don't know it. And I just want to thank everybody for at least getting the ball rolling to address the issue that we know. Now, this will not get caught up and taken care of overnight. You'll bear with us, general public. It's going to take a while, but we are getting a handle on it. We want to take care of it and make all of our roads around Macon-Bibb look better. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Water. Commissioner Watkins, back with you.
And I guess my question was, at 20 miles a year is about the most that the public works can do, or is it is it funding based or capacity based?
I think it's both. We talked to the contractors that's generally bid. There's 2 or 3 that bid in the area. It's going to be, I say, stretching it to do as much as aggressively we want to do with this as well. But you always have to look at the funding as well. I mean, it's something like this wouldn't make a lot of sense to go out and bond to pay debt out of the general fund when you can't get the work done in a large scale anyway. But I think sending a message to the community that we're spending 5 times as much road, and we're dedicated to doing that to make sure that the most needy roads get taken care of in the next 2 to 3 years, and we'll be back to looking at the 3s, which is something really good. Those roads will age a couple of years by that period of time, but at that time you could look at a potential SPOS, and it could be included in that. I think wasn't enough money probably in the previous SPOS to kind of catch up what we're doing. We're trying to play catch up for years and years of roads, and I think this is the most feasible way to do it using the tax dollars, but also it's more bang for our buck. I mentioned that the rest of the commissioners wasn't here. If you feel comfortable taking a vote today, we can do that. We've already discussed the particular projects. We really need everybody there for the next one because that's the new and additional roads. So if anybody wants to make a motion and we're satisfied that we got the votes to pass it today, we'll be happy to consider that. If not, we'll pass it. Do we have a motion by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Lucas? Any further questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Going to move on to item 6B. Item 6B is an ordinance to dedicate a portion of Anthony Road running between Pioneer Avenue and Felton Avenue in honor of Mr. Robert Louis Scott in recognition of many years of service and leadership to the Macon-Bibb County community. Appropriation amount not to exceed $500 from the general fund balance to Facilities Department of Purchases of Material and Material Signage. This is the motion that we moved forward earlier on the agenda, and that's sponsored by Commissioner Lucas. Commissioner Lucas, would you like to make that motion? Yes. Got a motion by Commissioner Lucas. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Wilder. Commissioner Lucas, anything you want to say on that matter?
Yes, I would, in light of the hearing, the minister, Reverend Dunning, who came, and I've heard from some other folks who have been involved over the years with the Ballard Hudson memorials and attempts to recognize different people who were associated for years with Ballard Hudson. Names continue to come up, and I think this would offer us an opportunity to achieve what Commissioner Watkins and the memorial group is trying to do. But it would also address the concerns of the church. And I believe Bill looked it up and said that they have like, what, 700, whatever. They have a good bit of distance there of property that's right in this particular area. And so I have been over the years to a number of these dedication ceremonies. And when a group of people who have pushed and pushed to get recognition for these various people, when they see those signs up, when you enter the zone and you see the sign that says so and so way, their eyes get bright. And then when they're leaving that particular area, there's another sign there. And these are big green signs, very visible. And the ones that have been put up all over are still there. They are still providing recognition and a remembrance of those folks who are being honored. So I would just like to ask if we could please approve it this way, so that we dedicated Robert L. Scott Way, and then that does not necessitate the church changing their letterhead, and then too, it doesn't have us continuing to chop up Anthony Road. It's already chopped up, I think, like 4 different ways, and there's a school directly across from the Ingram Pie Elementary School is directly across from the church, Pentecostal. So I would like to ask, I know we've got a minimal number here. We've got the least number of votes that we need in order to pass this, but I would like to ask the sponsor of the other legislation to please consider us doing it this way, and then the folks who brought this to us could go ahead with setting up their special dedication ceremony.
Thank you, Commissioner Lucas. Commissioner Water?
Yeah, I'd like to echo what Commissioner Lucas has said. I know I did lean the other way, but the more and more that is brought to our attention, if we change this, if we go this way and rename the road, it's going to open the door for more and more people to request that same thing. And if you really look at it, this, doing the dedication gives us opportunity to dedicate multiple people in that same stretch of road. So that's my opinion.
Thank you, Mr. Wilder. I think we've had multiple hearings on this, and we've heard from the community on a couple of occasions. I think this is a good compromise. Of course, everybody's entitled to their own vote. As a chair, I will tell you this is the last time that I'm going to place it on the calendar. So if it doesn't pass this time, I won't be putting it on the calendar. But if you get 5 or 6 people that agree to put it on the calendar, it will. So I hope that we can put this to bed today. Mr. Watkins.
And I appreciate the body is taking up as much time as they have on the issue. I would just like to again reiterate the Ballard Hudson Alumni Association of, I believe, 65 requested that we change the name of the street. Their only issue with our process was that multiple blighted homes that we're unable to contact to collect taxes from or anything did not participate in the process. They did not sign off either way on the yes or no, and our process made it an issue. But so again, primarily they're asking for a waiver on that. Anthony Road has been chopped up, renamed more than a few times. I think as we've all mentioned. My theory on that is folks realize who Mr. Anthony was and is in that neighborhood, and with intent, the people that live there would like it named something else. Right? And they've shown that on multiple occasions over the past 20, 30 years. My suspicion is if we don't rename it after Mr. Scott within the next few years, there'll be another name, Mr. Martin or Tiger or Ballard, that they will request Anthony Road be renamed. people live here and they don't care too much for the notation of the name Anthony. So that's what I think is going on in part. And Mr. Scott is a top flight Maconite. And I'm glad that we are going to honor him in some type of way. He's a top flight Maconite deserving of some type of credit. But I would also like to say that if we go this route, I would like to advocate or have legal study something. They spent a good bit of money attempting a request that it seems like before we even vote their request yes or no, we're doing something else that they could have had for a lot cheaper if that's what we're doing. That some type of consideration on their money and time of an effort should be spent. Like when people do alcohol licenses and we ultimately vote them no or it gets denied, there's some cases where folks get their money back. And so I was just, again, I don't know exactly how that works out. They're not here today, but there's a community group that spent good money. If this was an actual licensed business that was making money, we would be thinking about giving them some type of refund. But so anyway, I yield.
Thank you, Commissioner Watkins. When you say money, I think, are you talking about some type of filing fees or something like that? Okay, yeah. Of course, I certainly wouldn't be opposed to that, but I think we've done that on businesses that were not successful, or sometimes we give the money back if they couldn't get an alcohol license, but I think that's a nominal consideration. I think the commission would probably agree with it for the point in time. We do have a motion and second on item 6B, which is the dedication for Mr. Scott. This time, if there's no further questions, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. At this time, we'll move on to the next item, item 6A, and I'll ask our county attorney to take care of that in any procedural method he needs to.
Yeah, 6A is, unless there's a motion to rescind what you just did in 6B, 6A would be mooted and out of order. So,
Just out of curiosity, even on that concept. So this dedicated the street, and I would guess I would argue that a street could be dedicated and renamed, the same thing. So it doesn't really mute it out. I get what you're saying, but
well, if y'all want to have, no, it's totally fine. But if you want to have a separate vote on the renaming, I think the renaming process supersedes the dedication process, but y'all can overrule me on that. But you can get to the same place if there's enough votes to rescind what you just did and then vote. Yeah.
I can read the room. It's a mute point, but
Okay.
But yeah.
All right.
I just said procedurally, so if someone wants to make a motion in 6A, and if there's a second, we'll move forward. If not, that item will fail for lack of a second.
And I'll make the motion to
Got
proceed
a
with
motion by
6A.
Commissioner Watkins. Do we have a second? Hearing no second, that item fails for lack of a second. Thank you, Commissioner Watkins. We had an item on the agenda. I don't see any need to go into executive session today, but we do have an item on the agenda that we discussed adding earlier, and I'll call this item 8A, I guess, for lack of a better numeric system. This is the ordinance of Macon-Bibb County Commission to authorize a supplemental appropriation of $730,000 from general fund balance to sponsor programs to be used for the construction of sidewalks along the north side of Eisenhower Parkway in conjunction with the Georgia Department of Transportation road diet and renewal of Eisenhower Parkway from I-75 interchange to the intersection of Canterbury Road. That is my motion. Can I get a second? Second by Commissioner Jones. Just a little more information on this. This is something that's been in the works for a while with GDOT. GDOT would like this project to happen. We took our staff and rode the area ourselves. There's certainly some pedestrian safety concerns there. If you look at that area, that will be an area that you have a neighborhood that walks, and you can see the pathway through the grass and other areas, walking right there from Academy at Canterbury area toward the other way. So it's certainly pedestrian safety has been part of our program. Commissioner Lucas, if you're asking, this $700,000 has nothing to do with the $500,000 we already did. That would not be coming out of those funds. But this is a match. This is GDOT's process there, adding sidewalks, potential for some other traffic calming devices, a roundabout closer to the interstate. But that will come at a later time. This is just a commitment letter that they need from us that we will put forth $730,000 in funds at a later date when they approve the plan. And they'll be matching, I think, some $2 or $3 million of that at minimal. So we do have a motion and a second. We have questions concerning this project. Seeing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. This time, this completes our committee of the whole business. I would like to remind everyone that we have a update, and that is what it is, an update next week on the Macon Violence Prevention and other services. We have begin at 2:30 on next Tuesday, 2:30. Next Tuesday, we expect that to last until the time of our meeting at 6 o'clock. And we have scheduled several folks to come speak, including our violence interrupter, the sheriff, the DA will present the RISE program, and we have several of the community foundation grants, as well as our MVP director, Jeremy Grissom. So it'll be a fun-packed afternoon. So pack your lunch from 2:30 to about 6. We'll be going over the MVP to let people know what we've been doing to combat violence in our community during the last several months. So we look forward to presenting that to you. And then we'll have our regularly scheduled meeting that night at 6 o'clock with maybe a couple of new business items on there for alcohol licenses, et cetera, and the consent agenda that y'all discussed today. So if there's no further business that brings us here today, this meeting is hereby adjourned.